this is not going to be a story about winning gold. This is more of a story about what you do between the race that broke you and the one that made you.
There's definitely like some things that could align to make your life easier or harder. But I also believe that like work brings the luck.
Success is not linear. You don't go from winning this race to that race to that race. Often you win a race and then you might come 17th or last. But it's often that loss which is the most important pivot in your career.
If you know why you're doing it, then it's so different. You can motivate yourself every day. You enjoy it more and it's your why. And if your why is winning, it's also not bad. Like I love winning. I wake up every day and I want to win.
Knowing what you know now, what do you think you would go back and tell 16-year-old Josie?
Honestly.
Welcome to 4TG. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 4TG. I have a very special guest for today's episode. Most of you will remember her from the February 2026 Winter Olympics. Josie Baff is a 23-year-old snowboarder from Jindabyne in regional New South Wales, God's country. And in February, she became Australia's first ever Olympic gold medalist in the women's snowboard cross. She did all of that whilst battling a flu and after finishing 17th in her seeding run. However, I do want to assure you that today, this is not going to be a story about winning gold. This is more of a story about what you do between the race that broke you and the one that made you. Josie was left in tears in Beijing in 2022 when her campaign ended in the very first race. But she used every second of those 4 years to come back ready and to perform when it really counted. So Josie, welcome to the 4TG podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you. And where are you based at the moment?
I'm currently in Sydney. I've been doing a few work things, I suppose, if you can call it work. But I'm still in Jindy and loving it there. So I'm just up here for a little quick dash.
You'd be pretty hard pressed to find some snow in Sydney, I'd say.
Yeah. It's a bit busy up here.
I'd say so. Now, Josie, at the start of every 4TG episode, we do the Snap Fitness Rapid Fire, where I ask you 3 questions and whatever comes to mind, you shoot.
Oh gosh, okay. Hit me.
Ready? Okay. Yeah. Favorite sporting moment?
Recently it would be winning the Olympics, but probably like more so like the reactions of my family afterwards and like sharing it with them.
Yes.
And
all
my
right,
team.
Next one, which is based on that. But what hit harder? Was it the gold medal going around your neck or the anthem being played?
Definitely the gold medal. That was pretty crazy. And I feel like I'm not like that super connected to the anthem. Like I always I wish that we had like a more like Aussie song. Like our anthem's a bit slow for a celebration, which can be like tear jerking. But some of like the other countries have some real nice like beat in the back. And I'm like, I wish we had that same beat in the back. I don't know if that's bad to like trash on our anthem, but
I love theirs.
Yeah.
It's
so definitely the medal.
It's very cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Agreed.
Excellent.
I like it. The emotion's good. Like the France one's pretty good too. So she's got some good beat.
National call out to update the anthem.
Yeah.
And finally, what is one thing that a lot of people don't know about you?
I feel like I'm like a pretty open book. So I don't know, probably that I'm like genuinely happy for other people and I'm pretty easy going. But probably that I'm extremely competitive. That's like, I feel like goes without being said, but I feel like I can balance like being competitive and a great sportsman at the same time. So probably like the genuine connection I have with my competitors. Maybe that's something they don't know.
Well, that's a very good skill to have. There's not many out there that have it, so very rare. Awesome. Well, before we get stuck into what it's like to win a gold medal at the Olympics, which is everyone's dream, I want to go back to your childhood and how did you get into skiing and snowboarding and what did sport mean to you growing up?
Sport was always like just an outlet for me. Growing up in Jindabyne, I think a lot of families move there because of the environment around you or like for snowy hydro or something involved in that. But I think like a lot of the time people aren't moving there for work because there's not a lot of like big jobs there. So it's kind of like a bit too niche for that. And I think like my parents really shared their love for sport and so did all of my friends and their families. Like we were just always so active growing up and it's like the thing we did. Like there wasn't really anything else to do. So we were just active. And I started skiing when I was like 2 years old and then started snowboarding when I was 5. So it's always kind of just been like our activity. Like during term 3 at school, like our winter, like our weekend activity was going skiing. It's just always been that way. And I just always loved it. And just, I think like you go outside, you hang out with your friends. So there's not really much more like to it than that. But it was just always fun to like be hanging out with my friends. It was like honestly such like it was never like a super competitive environment for me. Like from the get-go, I feel like there was always like a shared balance between like just enjoyment and then like when there was races, which wasn't super often, it was like competitive. But I felt like I never like had to like go through like the helicopter parents or, you know, the intense training regimes that I think some parents like put onto their kids in like more competitive sports. It was just always like kind of it was an activity rather than a competition for most of it. And then when we would race, obviously we would try and do our best, but it was never really the goal just to win. It's always the goal to do our best. But
Well, that's
yeah,
very
so
refreshing to hear because,
yeah,
again, a lot of athletes don't start like that. They have a lot of
yeah,
pressure from parents and also internal pressure. But your
yeah.
dad also coached Tora Bright, is that right?
Yes, he did. He did. He's coached like a fair few, well, even of my teammates, a lot of my teammates he's coached, and like Val as well, Valentino Gazzelli. And yeah, he has been around a while and been in the industry for a really long time. So yeah, lucky to have him, I suppose.
Yeah, lucky to have him at that sort of elite level and still not feel pressured. He must be a
Yeah,
really good guy and a great
yeah.
coach.
No, it was good. I don't know. Maybe my sister. I'm also the youngest, so maybe he got better at it as well. So who knows? But I don't think he's always been like crazy pushy. But yeah, I think like he probably learned as well throughout the experience, as you would, on like how much you can push your kids, but without it becoming an issue. Because it probably is a fine line. You know, you want to teach them that hard work is important and like commitment is important, and you have to work for like what you want, but without being pushy. So it is hard. You have to like give like firm direction without being pushy.
Correct. Yeah, it's a thin line to sort of balance. But I guess his coaching philosophy has kind of rubbed off on you a bit because as you've mentioned, you did it just for fun, and you have said before that, you were always there just for fun, and that's when you started beating people. So,
Yeah.
what do you think it is about having fun that makes you better and makes athletes better?
I think it's probably just like you're doing it for yourself is probably like more so, I guess, the term fun. I think some people wouldn't find it fun. Like, you know, there's things that you go out and you do, like hang out with your friends or go to the beach, and like that's considered fun. But to me, fun is anything that I get enjoyment out of. And I really get enjoyment out of snowboarding, and I get it out of like learning something new. And I really am doing it for myself. Like, even if no one was there and there was no competitions, I would want to be doing something like that and like working towards something. And I guess like there's so many like aspects to board across too that you can work on so many different areas and always see improvement. It's like I feel like I'm never going to max out or like tap out of my development. There's always going to be something new to learn. And I think that
Mm.
that's probably like what motivates me and that's what I find fun. So I think when you're doing it for yourself and then you're happy to work on all those like small areas that then when you get there, you can either be like, oh crap, and like fight for an outcome, or you can be like, oh, this is cool. I get to see like how much I've improved and I get to see like where my weaknesses are still. And I think that's probably the main difference. And like the thing that I've worked on a lot in the past is like working towards having like a perfect routine rather than a perfect outcome, and like working on the process rather than wishing for a result, because when you wish for the result, you often forget about your process. So that's probably like a big part.
Absolutely. And we speak about that a lot, is that process over outcomes, because process is something that you can control in a lot of ways,
Hmm.
whereas the outcome,
Yeah.
especially in an unpredictable sport like yours, you
Yeah.
could be that well prepared and get up there
Yeah.
and just a freak mistake happens, a split
Yeah.
second.
Yeah,
So
exactly, exactly. And then you just like, I don't yeah, you can't control the outcome. If you wish to win, then it's not going to really do you any well. Like you can dream to win and you can work to win, but you can't really like wish that into happening. It just doesn't work that
mm,
way. Sadly, would be easier if it did,
sadly,
but
we'd all be Olympic gold
yeah,
medalists.
we would all be winning. Exactly. Yeah, everyone can wish, but yeah,
Yeah.
you have to put the work in.
Do you think that there's also an element of luck that goes into racing as well?
Sometimes, not always. There's definitely like some things that could align to make your life easier or harder. And but I also believe that like work brings the luck. Like I think you forge
Exactly.
your own luck. But
Mm.
yeah, definitely at times, like, you know, if you're in a heat and like everyone falls down, then sure, it's lucky that you've gone through. But at the same time, you were in that, so you got yourself into that situation. And yeah, and in border cross, there's so many different factors that can definitely work out in your favor. And, you know, if you're doing a quali run and there's wind, or, you know, the snow speeds up and then all of a sudden you're way faster, everyone's running way faster times, and like there's definitely elements like that. But yeah, you have to be in it to win it. And yeah, there's definitely elements, but I think most of the time you have to have both. Sometimes luck can be on your side and you have to have the skill to back it. But yeah, it wouldn't just come down to luck. It would be hard to win a whole border cross race just based on luck. There's too many rounds. You'd have to get lucky a lot.
Yeah, I'd have to be the luckiest person in the world, and still I'd need to stuff
Yeah.
it up. So
Yeah. No, you would have to be pretty lucky. I think like elements, yes. Or you can be lucky in one moment, but then you have to be able to like make it work in the next moment to actually get the final result.
yes, no, very true. And I think you've got the balance quite down pat in that, you know, it sounds like for you, your motivation is intrinsic because, as you said, you enjoy learning yourself. And when it's extrinsic and you got your parents putting pressure on you and coaches, and it makes, well, it takes the fun out of it. Have you felt at all that the fun ever did go out of it for you at some stages, or did you put more pressure on yourself and you had to sort of find that thermostat back to why you do it?
Yeah, definitely. After last year, I think because like you said it before, like the first Olympics, I didn't do very well. And honestly, I wasn't expecting to do very well. I went into that, I had just qualified for the race. I had good speed and good times, but I was so inexperienced. And looking back on that now, I know that. But at the time, I was probably like thinking, oh, maybe I can do better. I've done better in World Cups and stuff. And then when you get to the Olympics, you kind of hope to just hold that same thing. And I fell over. And like that was like probably more so what I was always upset about, is that I didn't ride to like the best of my ability and I just fell over. And then I did the same thing the next day in the team event. I just fell over. And that was always like, I guess, frustrating. And, but it was never to the same extent that like now when you've put so much more work and time into it, like back then I had put like 2 years really of like sole training into my border cross, and like I had been doing other things, but like sole focus on that, like since the Youth Olympics. And then last year at World Championships, so 3 years ago, I had come second. And at the time, again, I was like kind of like, I was like very good at a young age, but I guess I had to like work through so many things. I was fluctuating a lot. I was like super inconsistent, but I performed at the right time. I came second at World Championships, which is amazing, to somebody she just came second at the Olympics to me. So it was crazy. And I was standing on that podium. I was like, wow, like, why am I here? You know, it was just nuts. And then this time round, like 2 years later, I guess, yeah, 2 years later, I was like, oh, I can win world champs. Like, I believe I can win. I've been working really hard. I'm working harder than everybody else. I know I can do it. And I went, and like, I flopped kind of hard. I came like sixth or seventh. And that was pretty hard for me because I guess I knew what I was capable of and I had put in all of the work, and I felt like, why is this happening? Like, why didn't I perform? Like, I'm so much better than what I was 2 years ago, and I had a way better result 2 years ago. And that was definitely hard. And I was like, this sucks. Like, I was crying. I was like, this really just sucks. And like, it was on a course that I had performed well on the year before. And I was just like, what happened? Like, really, what happened? Why did this happen? I felt like I had done everything right leading into that moment. I did have an injury like a month beforehand and tore like my AC joint in my shoulder. But yeah, I was like, what the hell? Why is this happening? And that was like pretty rough to swallow. But then I worked with my sports psychologist and I went through it, and I was like, well, you can really learn a lot about that. And I guess like you realize like not necessarily fears, but like little things that nag at you that you weren't really sure. Like, it reveals a lot about yourself and like how you deal with it as well. It's like, I was like, whoa, like this is like, I'm learning a lot about like my emotions and how I see things and how I motivate myself and everything like that. And now I'm super grateful for it because I think it revealed a lot of things that then I could work on. And then at the games, I didn't have those same issues anymore. So yeah, I mean, everything comes with a price, and that was definitely hard. Like I wasn't really enjoying it. I felt pretty unmotivated after that. I went to like the rest of the races and I was just there, but I wasn't really like in my body there. So yeah, that was definitely interesting. But I feel like I've come out of that now, and like even after the Olympics, I was the same. Like at the races, just straight after the games, I was like, why am I here? The weather was really bad, and so windy. And like we had massive wind lips on the course. Like I thought it was actually kind of dangerous that we were racing, which probably didn't help me because I already didn't really like have the same motivation as normal. So it was like two things piling on top of each other. And I was like, wow, I'm not even enjoying this. Like, why am I here? Why didn't I go home? I could have been at the F1. I could have been doing all these fun things, you know? I was like invited to all these like really sick opportunities. I was like, no, I want to go back and race. And that's truly what I believed that I wanted. And then I got there and I was like, this isn't like, why am I here? I'm not feeling the same as normal. Like what's happening? And then again, I came back, like my coach was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Like, can we help you? I'm like, look, I'm just accepting it at this point. It's going to come back when it's going to come back. And I just like rolled with it. And the next race, I was fine. I was back. I was loving it. So yeah, I think you just always have to, one, give yourself time to like digest things, but also just know why you're doing it.
Yes. There was lots of gold in there, and I'm going to unpack some of that because I think that's exactly what the listeners need to hear. So you mentioned that, you felt like you were better than that race, right? And it literally, you just don't know what happened. Do you think, looking back now, that there was a mental barrier there that stopped you performing at your best?
Yeah, I think so. I think back then I probably was still wishing for the outcome. I wanted to be a world champion, and that's what I was wishing to happen. And I probably wasn't focusing on all the small things that can make that happen. I was just kind of focusing solely on making it happen. And I thought I was doing everything to achieve that, but I was probably just doing everything that I thought would get that without actually like really going into the process and really nailing that process, which now I have like an even more, like I had a routine. I had like the same warm up and I was doing the warm up, but I wasn't really like doing the warm up. I was going through the motions of doing it, but I wasn't super present in the moment, and I wasn't using the warm up to make like my mental side of things also better. And like I was doing, like even now it's like the exact same routine that I'm doing now. It's just like the intention behind it, I think, wasn't there. And I was probably just thinking, I want to be world champion. Like I'm just doing this because I want to be world champion and not like really taking it for what it is.
Definitely. And the other thing that I really liked that you said there too is that, you failed at that race, but it almost was the reset that you needed to get back on track to then become the world champion. And I think that this is such gold that a lot of young athletes need to hear, is that success is not linear. You don't go from winning this race to that race to that race. Often you win a race and then you might come 17th or last, but it's often that loss which is the most important pivot in your career, because that opens up a lot of deep insecurities as well. And you start to think, what can I start to do? What happened? And it's often the kick up the backside you need. So it's really how you handle that. You can take that and whinge about it and be the victim and sulk about it, or you can be the more mature athlete who looks at, right, what in my scope can I control?
Yeah.
And then become better off that. And that's clearly what you did, and hence you are here today. Is there anything on that, as you said, you went spoke to a sports psychologist, tips that you can give to the audience listening today who may train way better than they play or perform? What tips can you give them?
Yeah, well, I definitely like fluctuated a lot. So my second year, which was probably like my first full year no, it was my second. So my first year on the World Cup circuit, I was qualifying for most races, but I was going out in the first heat. And I wasn't really like sure how to work around people. And like that was my weakness. I could ride fine by myself, but as soon as I got into the heats, I just like would panic and I wasn't really sure how to do things. And then the following year I came back and I won my first ever World Cup, like the very next season. And then I went from a podium to like going out in the first heat to a podium to going out in the first heat podium, like consistently throughout the whole season. And that was the year that I came second in world champs. And like every time I was like, what? Like, why is this happening? Like, I thought like honestly that at that time I still had like a lot of like imposter syndrome. I was like, why am I doing well? Like I didn't really like see my talent for I guess, like work. I felt like I like was kind of like rushed into like the system in a way. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I deserve like all the things that have happening because everyone else had seemed to like work so much longer for things, even though my work style just looked different growing up. So I don't want to say that I'm like I've gotten lucky and I just am a talented, like a natural talent, because I did so many things growing up that I think led me to those moments and to the ability that I had. But I definitely was fluctuating a lot and it was so hard. It was really hard because I was like, oh, I'm just lucky. And then I'd fail. And then I'd be like, oh, I'm good again. And then I was like, what, why am I like randomly good? And it's like interesting to like dissect that and just know that it's like, it's kind of normal. It's like, it's so normal. Like you said, often you do something really well and then you come back down for a crash. And then learning, I guess, trying to find the consistent links. Like now I would really recommend for like, if my old self, I wish I had journaled, like, or just like written down anything, because I would just think I had it in my brain. I was like, no, I've stored it. I know how I'm feeling. I won't forget how I'm feeling right now. It's such a big feeling. I'm not going to forget how I'm feeling. And I always would. And I was never able to find like the common links between them. And then even when I did dissect them, I was like, there is no common links. Like, why? Why is this
Yeah.
happening? And then even now, I'm not sure why I was so inconsistent, but I'm able to now control so many things that I wasn't controlling before, that I can have something consistent and it's easier to outline the inconsistencies, which I wasn't having. Like, I wasn't doing the same warm up. I was just like going up, I was snowboarding and I was like, yeah, woohoo. And then I was like, I just nailed that run, you know? And then like the next run, I just thought it was like, it was fine. And then I'd go and, you know, it was just, it was crazy and chaotic. And I went to like the first time I went to my sports psych, he was like, why do you think you're feeling like this? And I was like, well, I don't know. Like this day I was like super happy. This day I was angry, I performed well. Then the next day I was angry and I didn't perform
Mm.
well. And like we just couldn't find the link. And instead of like trying to then find which version of myself, we just made a new version. I
Mm-hmm.
made like an alter ego.
Yep.
And my alter ego, I have the same preparation that brings out my alter ego. And that version of myself never misses. She's always on it. She's consistent. She's confident. She's everything that you want to be. And that's now the version of myself that I create every race, rather than like trying to create a feeling. You can't create a feeling or like make a
Mm.
feeling. You have to create a version of yourself and you can tap into that version of yourself almost like a character.
Uh-huh.
And now that's what I do. And I feel like it's way easier to like be consistent.
Absolutely. And that's the best way to beat imposter syndrome, is embody the person who you want to be. And there's no reason why you can't act and shot like that person today. And
Yeah.
ultimately, that's how you become that person.
Yeah. Because it's a weird thing to come to like terms with yourself, because you obviously I really like who I am as a person and I really liked who I was as a racer. But to then know that you can just become someone else is just, it's strange. Like you don't want to like change, like feel like you're acting like someone else or like you're not being yourself, but like that version of yourself can be yourself and it's in you. And like that's the version of you that's been performing. Like my coach used to say, like he would know before I raced, like if I was doing well, like he could just see it in my eyes or like the way I was moving. And like I just didn't know that I wasn't in control of that. I was just kind of letting it happen to me. So it's interesting that you can like pull a version of yourself and make it like you're not faking your
Mm.
emotions at that point. You're just being who you want to be.
You're probably being your more authentic self because you give yourself permission to step into another character instead
Yeah.
of, being grateful and being polite. You're just like, no, like
Yes.
I'm good, I'm
Yes.
confident, and you don't have to make excuses for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like growing up too, I was always like, I mean, in ski racing, there's people like in Australia, there's people who are like really crazy bad sports. Like I remember like growing up, I'd see people like smashing their poles and my mum was like, Josie, just whatever you do, just never do
Don't be
that.
that kid.
Okay. Don't ever be that kid. And I was like, okay, so that's always been my goal. And I've always been like a very to the paper great sportsman person because of that. I've always shown like great sportsmanship, and I even kept that through like out my competitive career. Like I'd always say good luck to everyone, and I was like, oh, good luck, good luck, good luck. Like, oh, have a good run, and I meant it. Like I was like, yeah, good luck. And then at some stage I was like, I probably should be saving some of that energy for myself and just like really internally focus on myself. And it doesn't make me a bad person, and it doesn't mean that I'm not wishing them luck. It's just I mean, when I'm racing, I want to beat them all. So yeah, it's just like, yeah, I guess welcoming and allowing yourself to be a more focused person. And then as soon as the race is over, you can go back to being the bubbly, like fun version of yourself. But like when you're racing, you got to keep that focus on you. And some days it's different. Some days I am still like with my friends or like my really close friends. I'm like, oh yeah, good luck. Like I see you out there and like joking about it and having fun. But like some days you just have to be so switched on. And at the Olympics, like I wasn't letting anything like that affect me or like come into play. Like I was in my world. I made my bubble and I was stuck in my bubble.
Yeah, and I feel as though the athletes themselves, like they would respect that, the coaches would respect that because
Yeah.
ultimately it's only you out there and you need to get into your best mind frame.
Yeah,
No one's gonna be like,
totally.
"Oh, Josie never said good luck to me. She's an
Yeah,
awful
no,
person."
no
Yeah,
one's thinking about it. Like, I'm never like, "Oh, that person said good luck." It's just like,
it's just
I don't
habit,
know.
isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
good
and I used to
manners.
like think of jinxing, I thought like, "Oh, like I'll get bad karma if I don't wish them good luck or whatever." And then it was like also one of the first things like I have like a life coach who I work with as well, and he was like, "Jinxes aren't real, Josie. Like you just got to like get rid of that." And then ever since that day, I have like I don't believe in jinxes, and like I catch myself saying, "Oh, you'll jinx yourself," and I'm like, "Wait, no, you won't." No, you won't. And like I used to like, oh, I can't say I'm gonna win or I have good feelings because then I won't do those things. And
Yes.
like I think that's what I thought, like even when I was like doing all the inconsistent things, I was like, oh, that's why, I must have
Yeah.
done like something.
Yeah, you try to find explanations. Same with superstitions, right? Like, they can be so, what's the word? They can be so you feel so claustrophobic in them and
Yeah.
controlling because,
Yeah.
a lot of
Exactly. Controlling.
superstitions, like, I need to have this certain breakfast cereal brand, but if you're competing overseas, you're not gonna get it. So why then spiral because you couldn't get this
Yeah.
superstitious breakfast cereal when really, like, think about it, it's not gonna make you win or lose. That's just
Yes.
something that
Yeah.
you are tying
Totally.
your emotions to.
Yeah, which is just ridiculous. It's so silly when you think about it, like on a deeper scale. And like people still have them. Like a lot of professional athletes have them too. And I think maybe like one or two is funny. It's silly. I have to make sure I put my left sock on before your right sock or something like
Yeah,
weird like that. I have absolutely none. I like to
yeah,
have my things organized. I go with the flow. I'm pretty relaxed. Sometimes I listen to music, sometimes I don't. I have like a long, medium, short warm up, like depending on how I'm feeling, like what the weather's like. I don't there's just like so many things and you just have to control like your factors and just believe that like you've done the work and it doesn't come down to that. And that's what I thought too, like at World Championships. And I was like, when I didn't perform, I was like, oh, like maybe it's because I did like part of my warm up wrong or, I skipped a step or something like that. It doesn't matter. Like your warm up, you have to be using that as a tool, as something familiar so you can create a familiar mindset and like but not of a ticked box, which
mhm,
I think I was like, oh, I'm stretching, ticked
yep,
box. Oh, I'm doing this.
yeah,
Oh, ticked box. It's different. You have to know why you're doing it. Otherwise, there's no point. Some people don't benefit from stretching. Don't stretch. Find something else that works for you. Like, don't just like copy something, have something, and then be like so rigid on the plan. Like, my plan is like crazy different. At the Olympics, I couldn't do anything that I normally would. I had the flu. I was like, I'm in energy conservation mode. Like, I need to just, I was like, oh, I feel bad. Like, I'm not doing a spin. I'm not doing like my normal warm up. And like, I was like, I'm not doing like my priming workout. And I was like, crap, like shit, things aren't going to go my way. And then I was like, hang on. It's like nothing that I'm doing this week is going to change my outcome. Like everything that I've been doing for the past 4 years is going to change that outcome. And it's not just going to unravel because I've skipped a 10-minute spin.
mhm,
And
that's
I
right.
think coming to terms with that was like probably one of the main factors. And it also builds your confidence, you just know. And I was like, like the other thing we worked on was you look at the version of you that can win the Olympics and the version that you are now, like on this day, however many years, I think it was probably like 2 years ago. And it was like, what is like stopping me from becoming that version? And then you find it and then you have a clear view of all of the things and you can just slowly tick off each thing that you've worked on. And like, it might take time, it might take forever, but then by the time you get there, you're like, I've done all of this work, all of those things I fixed, all of those things I've worked on. And you get there and you've done absolutely everything that you can. And then what else is there to do but just race and
Yeah,
trust and trust? I wouldn't say hope because it's not hope, it's trust. And yeah, you just get there and you trust that you've done the work. Like I was standing in the gate, I was like, I can't feel my legs. Like I'm so nervous. I was like, honestly, they could be jelly. I like, there's no point. I haven't like my muscles, they're dead. I was like, this is like, what if I pull out and they just don't go? And I'm like, hang on. I've done this so many times. There's no way that's going to happen. I have some muscle memory and I'm going to be fine. As soon as I get out of this gate, I'm going to be back to like my normal racing self. And that's exactly what happened every time.
Yeah, that's right. Your brain plays tricks on you, doesn't it? But as you say, like you have put the work in for those 4 years. That is the process and that is what you come and trust. The race on race day, that is literally the cherry on top. Like that is the last thing. It's like if winning that race is everything you've done up until then, it's not the warm up that you've done before it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people do it the other way around. You know, they're half committed for a year, they're half committed for 2 years, and they do like things like half-heartedly, and then you get to the Olympics, and then all of a sudden for the 2 weeks leading into the Olympics they are dialed, you know, they're switched on, they're doing everything to the T, and they think that that's what's going to get them. It's like it doesn't. I feel like the closer you get, the less things matter, to be honest. Like you need to get like more refined and more refined, but like you run out of time eventually. And you can't change things in those 2 weeks prior to the games. Like you can't change anything. I was sick. I was literally in bed. I missed the opening ceremony. I was laying in bed. I was coughing. Like every time I would laugh or inhale, I would cough. And it was horrible. And it
No,
didn't matter because I had done 4 years of work prior.
that's right. And influenza A was not enough to stop you from winning
Yeah.
gold.
Not enough. Not enough. Try again. Maybe influenza B's got me.
Yeah. I might have to try and get a bit of influenza A, I think. Get me off and about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing that I want to touch on too, which you mentioned a little bit earlier, which again is so important and is something that we all forget about, is being present in the now. We're always wishing and thinking that it'll be better once we achieve our goal. But in order to get to that goal, we need to be doing what we're doing now and doing it well. And sometimes that goal can be way out of reach and you literally don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So it's literally like sit with the now. The now is what is important and give the now your best stop. Stop trying to use it as a stepping stone, like, oh, this is only
Yeah.
just so I can get there. Be happy with where
Yes.
you are now and give now your 100% attention and energy.
Yeah, I think like one of the biggest things that helped me with that was like when I would step into different environments. So I go to the gym quite a lot. And when I would step into the gym, I had to be like fully present because if you go and you do the stuff, and like this is like what a lot of people, you know, now with Instagram and TikTok and so many sporting influencers being so, uh, I guess, popular on these apps, which is great because it's showing like the work behind things. But if like I used to want to do like a little bits of TikTok and little bits of Instagram and things like that, and I've never like found the ability to do it. I've actually like I found it so hard to film and like come out of what I've done and feel like I've achieved what I needed to achieve. And then like people ask me now, like, oh, why don't you post more? Because then you get, you get more deals, you get more sponsorships, and it's really great for your career, I suppose. But to me, I can't do both. I find it really hard to do both. And sure, maybe some days you can, like on like a light week or something, or you go in or something's easier to film. But if you're doing that all yourself, so like now when I enter the gym, I use it as a way to practice like my mental strengths. You know, you have to be focused for this amount of time and you can practice like creating that version of yourself that you want to bring on race day, the same competitive person, the same person who's driven, who doesn't make errors, who's confident, and that you can practice, and you need to practice it because you can't just like wake up one day on race day and be that person without being that person throughout training. And even like you have like maybe you have races leading into those races, but in the gym is like probably one of the main places where you can practice that. And like you can like you can complain and be like, oh, I don't want to do these squats, or you can be like, no, I'm going to do these squats, it's going to benefit here. And like you can visualize what you're helping. Like now if I'm like doing box jumps, like I was doing like 1 minute circuits of like jumping and I was dying. It's exhausting. You're jumping over hurdles and you're jumping sideways, you're doing fast things, and you just kind of can visualize you like when you finish that you're finishing a race and you've done really well in that race. And there's so many different things that you can do to practice that feeling so it's more familiar when you come to race day. And I really struggle to believe that you can do that and be filming yourself setting up in between reps and things like that. And like that's me. I don't think everyone's different, obviously can do both, but that's what I find super challenging. And I'm like, oh, I can go in and film myself, and sometimes I do, but I'm different. It's like the same version of myself who would go from winning one race to not winning the next race. So yeah, I think being present is like way more beneficial than people believe, and there's so many things you can practice if you are being present in in that moment, and it like goes far beyond just the one thing that you're doing. You can imagine so many other parts.
Yeah, definitely. And you're gonna get more brand deals being an Olympian, a gold medalist than you are,
Yeah.
just someone who's really good at filming in the gym. So
Yeah,
that's
totally,
right.
totally.
And
And like, yeah, you should want to, yeah, that's what my belief is. Like, I want to be
yeah,
training for all the races. So
that's right. And I like that you said that almost there's always opportunity in the mundane to make it more intentional and to get something out of it. You can go through the motions and just rock up to the gym and half-ass it and get it done, but you're not getting anything out of that. So if you use that as a time to lock in mentally and rehearse or even visualize in between sets and just use, we've only got 24 hours in the day, so you may as well use it to your advantage.
it's really interesting. And it makes it more enjoyable too. It's like, I always struggled to go to the gym and do what I was told. I've always found it like hard to do that. I'm like, why? I'm like, why am I doing it? Tell me why. And if I like knew why I was doing it, I would be so much more motivated to do the one thing. And sure, discipline's one thing, motivation's another. But I was like actually motivated. I was like, hell yeah, this is gonna work. I can feel how it's gonna change. Like that is what I feel when I'm snowboarding. Whereas like the first couple of years, I was going to the gym and I was like, sure, I'm getting fitter, I'm getting stronger. And I am. Like my body's changing. I'm getting stronger. I feel fit, but I would go snowboarding and I'd feel the same. It was always like trying to like find the common pieces from snowboarding into the gym. And yeah, each day as well, like you said, like you have 24 hours in the day, but you always want to feel like you're working towards something. And I think when you do that in the gym, that's what you feel. And like some days I was like, oh, I'm going to the gym and I'm going bike riding and I'm, every day was the same for ages. Like all of last year, I was like, oh, I'm just doing the same thing. Like sometimes I don't feel like I'm going anywhere. I'm like, oh, I'm putting in all this effort and I'm not going anywhere. And then I started writing down like one thing that I improved on or one thing I learned each day. And all of a sudden I felt like each day I was like moving towards and working towards a goal rather than just like existing. And I found
Yes.
that like it was like one simple thing that changed so much. Like each day I felt like, oh yeah, I've done something today. Like I'm one step closer. Each day I'm like, yes, I'm one step closer. And then that builds the confidence too. So yeah, that would
100%.
be
Get 1% better each day, and in 100 days, you'll be a 100% better person. Like, why wouldn't
yeah.
you?
Why
And
not?
that's a good thing to know too for coaches and, S&C coaches and stuff as well. Like, I'm really big on, yeah, sure, provide gym sessions, but us, like, say what it's translating to in their sport. Like, I know for me during my ACL rehab, like, you're literally lifting your leg a little bit, and I would constantly be like, "What the hell?" But then I would ask my coach, like, I was actually quite annoying, probably too much, and I'd be like, "What's this for? What's this working? How is this gonna translate to, footy?" But then it gives you motivation to do it because if I just had to lift my leg 50,000 times, you're like, "Oh, I'm sick of this." But if I know that this is going to activate this muscle, which is gonna get me back running faster, then I'm more motivated to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like knowing the why, and it's the same for snowboarding, right? If you know why you're doing it, then it's so different. You can motivate yourself every day. You enjoy it more, and it's your why. And if your why is winning, it's also not bad. Like I love winning. I wake up every day and I want to win. And I hate losing. I really don't like it. But no one likes losing. Let's be honest, no one likes losing. Everybody likes winning, and yeah, you just have to like know why you're doing it. So to keep yourself grounded, that can be like the common link. And that can be, yeah, you need to know your why. And sometimes it's hard to know your why if it's like, I'm doing it. Like, why are you doing it? Why do you like it? It's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know why I like it. And I've gone through phases like that too. I'm like, I don't know. I just like it, which is fine too. You can just like it for some reason, but you have to be like honest with yourself and actually like think about the question.
That's right. And sometimes, like, stepping away is the best time for that, or you're forced to do it sometimes with injury. And if you're not selected, it really is that forced sort of contemplation time. Why do I do it? Do I want to continue doing it? Because it's also okay if you don't want to do it. Your whole identity isn't tied to it. But in other circumstances, it makes you even hungrier because you're like, right, it's been forcefully taken away from me and I want it even more now. So again, find opportunity in those setbacks and use it to your advantage.
Yeah, I saw this podcast the other day and it was like, do you think you learn more from winning or losing? And it was like a cyclist. And he's like, I think I learn more from winning, but it wasn't because of like a lack of learning when you're losing, but I guess you see everything that's gone right into that moment to the win, and then you
Mm,
can learn how to make that happen. And I think you can like draw the common lines. I still don't know if I agree that you learn more from winning. I'm like, I can see their side, but I thought
yeah.
it was really interesting. Because they were like, oh, you always look at someone successful to learn things. Like you always look at you don't look at the person who's in 10th to like copy them. You always try and mimic the people who are leading at the top, which I think is interesting. But I think the losing, how you deal with the loss is probably what you learn more, and like the emotions in it. I think it reveals more like deeper feelings, and then you're able to create the version of yourself that's winning.
I love that. You'll have to send that podcast through. Sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, it was Whoop. It was really interesting.
Whoop, okay. Yeah. Which brings me to my next thing. And I saw that you have said, once you finished the race, you said, I would like to say that I can't believe it, but I kind of can. And that falls back into, you obviously trusted the process so much. You knew that you put in all the work. Influenza A was not enough to stop you. So tell us a little bit about that, because there's not many athletes who, often say things like that in fear of being, coming across as arrogant, but it's not arrogant. It's pure confidence in yourself. So do you think
Yeah, no.
your younger self would have said that?
No, it's definitely like what I've come a long way in. I think being from Australia, we often have like the tall poppy syndrome. I think that is like so true. And when you're overseas, it's even more true. And although I think it's a nice way to grow up, and it often makes you humble, I think it often does somewhat like take away from your confidence at the same time. And people can often be outwardly one way and inwardly super confident. I don't disagree with that. And I think that was me for a while. But like when I first went to my sports psychologist, I said the same thing. My boyfriend, he's just come second at the Olympics, and he would always say, like, he would wake up in the morning, he'd be like, I'm gonna win today. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I don't know you. That's so embarrassing. I was like, why are you telling me that? Like, you're not going to win now. And he would go out and he would win. And I was like, oh, this is really strange. And I said that to my sports psych. And I was like, he was like, Josie, that's like, there's nothing wrong with that. And I was like, oh, but like, and he's like, well, do you think he's cocky and arrogant when he says that? I'm like, well, no, not really. And like, he's saying it to me, and like, he's not saying it like to everybody. And I think that there's a very different, like a massive difference between being cocky and being confident. I think you can be politely confident, and you can truly believe. You don't have to prove to everybody that you are confident. And yeah, going into that, like that day I woke up and I was like, I'm going to win today. Like, that's how I felt. And I honestly think that most people probably feel that way before they win a major event. Maybe, sure, some people don't. But I was like, yeah, I'm going to win. And leading into it, I truly believe that I could win it. And it's not to like say, it's still weird that I'm an Olympic champion. Like, to say that is strange. It's so weird, but I can really believe that I won that race. And I think because we make it such like small, like amounts of like steps to get there, like each step, you like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And then all of a sudden it's the Olympics, and it's within reach. Then you have to make it within reach to believe that you can do it. And I don't think anyone really becomes an Olympic champion without believing that they can do it. Like I don't know anybody who's ever said that. And then I was like, why does everybody say I can't believe it? I was like, I'm sure you've believed once upon a time, maybe not this morning. You didn't think, like, maybe you thought I was going to come second or third, but you knew you were going to perform at the Olympics. So I was like, oh, I actually can believe it. And it was kind of like I came to terms with it at the same time. I was like, I can believe that I won. So I'm not going to say that I can't, but I can't believe it. And yeah, I guess that's just the confidence. And I think it's a nice thing. I think it's great that you can believe in yourself, and most people do. It's just that they don't say it.
Yes, it's so refreshing to hear it. And it's even interesting, the parallels, as you say, between your boyfriend and you. It's like male athletes come across as, super confident, sometimes bordering on cocky, but that's almost glorified. And then in the workplace as well, then it comes to females athletes, and we have to be humble and agreeable and don't want to put our heads up too high in case they get chopped off type thing. But it's like, no, we can be confident. There is a difference between confidence and arrogance. Like, confidence is quiet. Arrogance is often loud.
Yeah, it's like you're proving it. And often people who are arrogant lack confidence. And like, it's like, I don't know if you've seen like the Drive to Survive series, and every single one of those F1 drivers says, I'm the best F1 driver. So clearly you're not the F1 driver, you're coming 19th, and they all truly believe that, like 100% wholeheartedly believe that they are the best driver. And it's something else that's limiting them. Like, maybe it's the car, maybe it's this, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that that's necessarily good either. I don't think you should be blaming the equipment, because there's always something to blame. There's always an external something. But they all truly believe that they are the best. They're fully convinced, I am the best. And I'm like, why don't we see that more often? And even in like more niche sports or individual sports, it's just different. Like, I mean, F1's been around for ages. If you're not confident in an F1, if an F1 car, stuff's going to go down and you're not going to be happy with it. But yeah, it's definitely like weird to come to terms with that and like just be honest. I think it's like more so like being honest with your feelings rather than like trying to hide them or suppress your confidence. Because often you're like, yeah, I can do that, but then you'll be thinking that, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, I'm not sure if I can.
Yeah.
And it could be like out of fear of failure too, which I think was like part of it. Like for me, I never wanted to say something because I was like, what if I don't get it? Like I was like, I want to win the Olympics, but like when I would say it, I'd be like, I want to win the Olympics, but if I don't, I'll still be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
you
you
could
kind of
justify it.
Yeah, you kind of like justify
Yeah.
losing before it even happens. And it's like,
Yeah.
I think it's okay to not be okay with not winning something. And I also think it's okay to believe that you can do it. And I think when you work and you've done everything you can, you're never going to be like crazy sad that you haven't achieved something because you know you've done everything that you could to achieve it. And like sometimes, someone else is doing something else different, or they've tried again for like they've been doing it for another 4 years, and everyone's working equally as hard. And I think it's like hard to rely on that. Like I think in like a lot of movies and sports films, they always say, oh, I'm waking up first. I'm the first one in the gym. I'm the last one to leave. I don't necessarily, like, I really actually disagree with that. I don't think, and it's like, oh, it's not what you do in public. It's what you do behind closed doors. And I don't believe in that. I think that that's like ridiculous. I don't think you should be like training more hours than somebody. I think as long as your intention is clear and you know what you're doing and it's right for you, like don't compare yourself to them. But everyone's always working harder. Everyone always thinks that they're doing something different, and not everybody can be in the gym longer and can,
Exactly.
and like sometimes it's not best. And like recovery is so big now. And I think like sports finally starting to catch up with that not more is not always more.
Yes. Yes. That's right. Less is often more.
Yeah. And you just
Yeah.
have to be right with the intention. But yeah.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I think we're on the same page about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good.
So wrapping up, if we look at women's sports more broadly, and we're sort of getting into now about how it changes with the men and how men often show up different to how we show up. But in your opinion, what do you think needs to change in order for women's sport to grow and be promoted better outside of the traditional, we need more coverage and money and resources? What else do you think we can change?
Somebody asked me the other day, I was doing a Q&A, and one of the parents, it was with one of my sponsors, and he was working there, and he said, I have like an 11-year-old daughter or a teenage daughter, and like, what would you say to her to keep her in sport, or like, I guess, point her in the right direction? And it's something that I only really like just realized when he asked me that question. I sat there and I was like, oh, I don't really have an answer for this. And I didn't know. And then it kind of hit me that a lot of females, when they become teenagers, that's when they often stop doing sport. And obviously we go through like a lot of bodily changes as well. There's like so many different factors that contribute to like that change. Like there's hormones, then there's like society around you, you start going out, then you start trying to impress people, and like it's just different, and society teaches us to be like that. But I think to allow yourself to have more than one version of yourself, and I think like it's starting to come out now more with like female influencers, especially in the sporting world, which is why I will never like trash on them, because I think they're all amazing. And they show that you can be feminine and that you can be an athlete, and they don't have to, like, they can coexist, and you can be like multiple versions of yourself. It's the same with like fashion. Some people think, oh, once you choose like one lane of fashion, you're stuck in that. Like you're dressing like a tomboy for the rest of your life. Like you can dress like a tomboy one day and then wear a nice dress and high heels the next day and have a full face of makeup and then go from no makeup. And I think like when you're young, you think you have to pick one, and a lot of your friends around you do pick one. But I don't know, I feel like you can be a boss out playing soccer, and then you can go and do ballet, like do whatever you want. And I think like you can create multiple versions of yourself, and they don't all have to match, because that's you and that's what makes you, rather than like having to pick one and then that is who you are. Like you can be so many different versions of yourself and not to like suppress anything else. And I think if that happens, we'll have more youth, we'll have more depth, and then the sports will get bigger because the talent pool will get bigger, and the more people there are, the same amount of people might go into a sport, but they're going to have like a higher level. And I think that that's slowly all going to build, and it's already happening. Like female sport, I think is so much cooler than male sport. I love watching it. I think it's so cool. And a lot of people agree. A lot of people agree, especially families. And like I went to a hockey game. I've been to one ice hockey game in my life, and it was a female hockey game, and it was so cool. And everyone was like, it's just such a different energy. Like you can see, they take off their helmets and they're just like, they're all just girls. And I think it's so cool that they can just be a girl and do the coolest things, and the environment around it's different. There's emotion, there's fun, there's like a lightheartedness, and there's competitiveness, and there's grit, and it's just like so different to how society has always made females. And it's like a massive growth, and everyone's so happy to watch it. They feel invested, and like men, and not just shit on men either, but
while we're here,
I also love watching men's sport, but I think that sometimes it can be like more surface level, and they've raised like that to be like rough and tough, and especially in like contact team sports and stuff like that, and there often isn't like the deep emotional like connection behind them. So it's interesting, and I think it's super cool. I love women's sport. I love where it's going, and I think more people are liking it, and like often I think it's smarter. I think that the way women play it is smarter, especially in team sports. I think that there's like a new element that people are learning, and I think that the men are probably learning more from the women that they're letting off. And it's the same in bordercross. The men are faster, sure, they're bigger, they're heavier, they have more testosterone, they're stronger, we can be honest. And they're usually like 3 to 5 seconds faster, but they still learn from us. And there's things that they learn. They're like, I actually learned the most from watching your heat in this run. Like it was really good, tactically really good. Or like technically the ability can be stronger. Just because you're not faster doesn't mean you can't be better. And I think that that's a massive thing in women's sports, and people are starting to see that. And often people like watching women's games a lot because there's a different tactic that they're not seeing in the men's side. So yeah, I think with time, with depth, and with more women in doing sports for longer, we'll see the shift.
Wow, that's a brilliant answer. I haven't heard that one before, and you're so right. It's so true though. Like, the environment around women's sport is completely different. A lot more families want to take their kids to women's sports because it's not as, bash the
Drinking
other
culture
team, drinking,
aggressive.
sledging.
It's less aggressive,
slurs.
exactly.
It's just a more welcoming place to be a part of, and you're totally right. If men and women could work together instead of excluding each other out, we have so much to learn from each other. There's no denying that, men are a lot stronger in a lot of areas, but sometimes stronger is not the best, right? It's work smarter, not harder. So I think that's a very, very measured answer, in that we have so much to learn from each other.
It's really nice. I think in bordercross we see it a lot, and that's probably why I have that perspective, because we race the same day. At the Olympics we don't, but we have the same circuit, we race the same courses, and we often see that, boys might complain that something is like, they're obviously going faster, so jumps have to work for the fastest guy, but also work for the slowest girl. So there's often like a balance there. But we work so closely with our teammates, and I think we often learn a lot from our teammates, and we've always had that dynamic among the team. The girls and boys will work together, we'll point each other's weaknesses out, and like I say a lot of things to the boys, and like, look, this is going to be harsh, but like, what the hell were you doing? Like, why are you over there? And then I'll get the same thing back, but then I'll be like, oh, this was really good, that was really nice. And then he'll say the same thing back, and he'll be like, oh, that heat you did when you overtook here was really like great. I think I'm going to do that tomorrow. And there's always like, we've always worked like that. And I think that that's a pleasure to begin with, and a privilege to be able to have that dynamic and work closely, because I love watching like the guys in the starts. I watch them most of the time, especially as being one of the stronger females in the start section. What's next? That is what's next for us. So there's technical abilities there that they're able to do because they are stronger, that we are like learning. And then as you go faster, there's more moves that you unlock. It's like kind of like you unlock this new level. So I watch the guys all the time, but they also watch us. I think all the good ones watch us. I think some in the middle, they're not watching. I think they have some things to learn. So
that's why they're still in the middle, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a super cool dynamic to be able to share that, because we're on the exact same course, on the same days, same, like everything is identical. And I think like a lot of sport, they are so segregated that you don't get to have that, but we're lucky that we do.
That's right. And that's another big argument. I'm just thinking in terms of AFL, AFLW, that if AFLW is played on the same grounds before the men play, the same two clubs, there's going to be that crossover. There's going to be that more, mutual respect, and the supporters for the men will come earlier. They'll watch the women, vice versa. If the men play first and then into the women's, it's just that cross pollination of supporters, of ideas, of just being open minded. And I think a lot of the old traditional male supporters will see the women absolutely, belting each other legally and realize that, oh my God, this is actually really exciting to watch.
Yeah, agreed. I actually think it would be super cool to see them all train together. Like if it's the same club, I think that they should have some trainings each week that with some crossover. I mean, I don't know anything about it,
100%.
but I think it would be super interesting. And I think they would learn a lot from each other. And it would also be fun. Imagine like 50 people playing together, like 25, like I don't know how many people are on like a reserve team of AFL. But yeah, I think it would be epic to see like what they come up with. And also you see things around you and then you copy them. It's like how people work. Like you start writing like the people who you're watching and naturally and even without like being aware of it. So it would be super interesting to see.
I love it. I'll write that down. I'll put that forward to someone. With what little power I have, I'll make that happen.
Yeah.
And finally, knowing what you know now, what do you think you would go back and tell 16-year-old Josie?
I actually am like low key steal this answer, but do you know the ice skater Alyssa Liu who like popped off at the Olympics?
No.
She has like the strappy hair anyway. She's from the US and she
Okay.
won a gold. And she said I wouldn't tell them anything. I feel like she's like exactly where she needs to be. And I kind of feel that. Like I feel like everything has led you to this moment and I wouldn't want to change anything. It probably would just be to like write down my feelings more often so I could like figure that out a bit quicker. But honestly, I think everything has led you like exactly where I needed. I've learned the lessons that I needed to learn and it led me to succeeding and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, Josie, I have absolutely loved this chat. I
Me
think
too,
you
it was
were
fun.
wise beyond your years and
Oh,
your
thank you.
mindset is just incredible. And it's a high performance mindset. And I think so many young girls, young boys, men, women of all ages will take so much from this. And it just proves how much you can do with your mindset and how untapped it is and the difference that can have. Even with influenza A, you can still go and win a gold
Yeah.
medal. Anything's
Yeah,
possible.
exactly. Anything's possible. Exactly.
100%. So thank you so much for the chat. And to everyone listening, please pay this forward by sharing it with someone who needs to hear it. I know that there are so many people out there who will benefit a lot from hearing Josie's wise words and the lessons that she's learned to be a gold medalist Olympian. So please like and subscribe to 4TG and follow us on Instagram. And Josie, I can't wait to see what's next for you.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Love it. I hope there's more to come. Maybe we'll be doing this one another day, another podcast.
I'm sure. Take 2. We'll do a part 2. The next gold medal.
Yeah.
No, we'll do one before that.
I hope.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josie.
Thank you.
You've been listening to 4TG, where the future of women's sport is being shaped, one story at a time. If today's episode hit home, subscribe, rate 5 stars, and send it to someone who needs that push. Stay in the loop at 4TG_podcast or on 4TG.com. We'll see you next time. Same mission, same movement. This one was for the girls.